how did you get into game development? Like, what was your kind of origin story?
Oh man. Uh, I don't know. Like I've been making games a lot my whole life. Like probably not necessarily video games, but they would be like after school programs. I'd be like, we didn't have like Dungeons and Dragons or anything at the moment, like in these after school programs. So we just like made games. Um, and then I think like later on, I was doing some like Pathfinder D&D stuff. And I think for me, that's like my gateway drug into game development in a sense where it's like I was making like these sick campaigns. We play them, and like I wrestle in college. I had my wrestling team. All my wrestling buddies play, but like I would find that like we would have four people at a table playing, and more people would want to join in. And I'm like, we can't have like seven guys at a table. Like this is never we're never going to complete the game.
Yeah.
Like, it's too many. There's too many people, and I think that's like the one beautiful thing about video games is like I personally love to create experiences for people. And I feel like a video game allows me to do that for a lot more people than just like four people at a table, which is like, I think that's like the really cool thing about video games. So it's kind of where like I would say my
Yeah.
origin was for my love for making video games.
Yeah.
It was my first like commercial one, but I've done like a few game jams. But
Yeah. No, I think like especially with D&D, you there's it's very like back and forth dungeon master and like you get a lot of reactivity from the players. You can see their reactions. I think it very quickly gets you like experiencing the joy of game making where it's like you can see them having fun and also the pain of game making where you can see them being bored. But what is Pathfinder? Like what is I know about D&D, but what is Pathfinder? Is that like a rule set?
Pathfinder is like it's like a variant of D&D in a sense. Like it has like different. I think like the leveling's linear. There's like little different things. It's basically D&D. That's just the one I like ended up picking out. Like because they had like
Yeah.
they had these cool like cardboard pawns. You could get like 100 like sleeves of them. It was sick. Like you'd have all the pawns without like doing the 3D models.
Yeah.
You know? Oh yeah, that'd be cool.
No, but it's that
Like
thing you said of
that's what like
like
using that.
when it gets to a certain amount of players, it's just like the
It's
last
just too
time I
much. Like you
played D
can't
and
do
D,
it.
yeah, I'm just waiting for my turn for so long.
Yeah. So
But yeah, what about those two game jam games that you made before Devoid? Were those also in Godot or what? What was the tech
yeah.
on that?
So my first ever game jam, I went to it. I didn't know how to code or I didn't know anything about like
Oh,
I only
okay.
knew how to make pixel art. I only knew
Yeah.
how to make pixel art at this point. So I went and I'm still good friends with some of these guys that we were in the game jam with. I went and I had no team, so I'm unattached. I'm showing up. I'm like, I'm just praying like someone's gonna let me
Yes.
join the team. I have no technical capabilities, but I can make pixel art. So I,
Yeah.
I was fortunate enough. Some guys like let me join their team. I was grateful and made Bubble Knot. I don't know. I'd be maybe like I'll send you a graphic for that. But
Yeah, I can show
yeah,
some of that.
it was like a global game jam to like yeah the team's bubbles. So we're like oh yeah it'd be like you blow your bubble it expands and you like inflate and go up and you like try to dodge things.
Right.
But I did all like the art for that. But for me, I feel like that was a really crucial moment just to experience these guys working in the engine, so I can like oh like these are where the assets get dropped and like
Yes.
that familiarity with that's like kind of where my familiarity with Godot started, where it's like okay I'm getting like pretty comfortable with this engine like just messing with it over even over the course of that like whatever was 2 day game jam over the weekend. But
Yeah.
um yeah, that's
Yeah. I never
and then the
had
other the
the
other
experience of
yeah.
it being like a physical thing that you go to. I just see game jams are all like kind of digital stuff. But yeah, I wanted to ask about kind of what you were saying before of like you come from it seems like you come from more of an art background and so what was it like, getting to know how's it pronounced? It Jacob Jakub
Oh Jacob, yeah, Jacob,
Jacob. Yeah, what was it
who
like cuz I know
later is his shower like pipes might have exploded,
yeah,
so
hopefully he'll join us soon. But
he'll be hopefully joining us.
yeah, what I know you've been doing some more programming recently, so has that been like are you starting to enjoy that aspect or does it still feel like kind of just something you have to do?
I love it all. I and programming to me is like, and I'm by no means an expert. Like if you look at my code, it's probably disgusting to a lot of like programmers. A lot of just like hard coded references, things like this. Like, but I love it because for me, it's like I don't like if I have an idea, I could just make it happen.
Exactly.
And, like put it in.
Yeah.
And like that is such a good feeling, like not to have to rely on someone like, oh, like, like so yeah. Like it gives you it's very empowering when you can like even just like as an artist, like if you can do some programming just to like, get your things
Yeah.
in there and get working. I think in like vice versa, right? Like even for like a programmer, like knowing a little bit of art is super useful to like convey ideas.
For Jacob, so um, I guess I'll reorient it a little bit. So I was asking Charles, what was it like, getting more into programming, working with you on the tech side? What was it like for you working with Charles and like trying to bridge that gap of like tech and art early on?
Well, I didn't end up working on the art at all, but I did have to work with, another person's code who wasn't a software developer.
Yeah.
So
Just like that.
Oh, yeah.
but the code was definitely like made by two different people and work with different backgrounds. So working with that was definitely a lot different than just working on a project with someone else in my field.
Yeah. Was there times where like you would just rewrite a bunch of code, or was it
Oh
more
yeah.
like smaller modifications?
No, yeah. The we had to rewrite like the whole thing basically at this
Yeah.
point. Yeah,
Yeah.
everything ends up getting rewritten. I'm working on something right now that I'm gonna have to rewrite because the code is duplicated and you need a. It's not gonna work with the usual way we. Well, I'm
Yeah.
not gonna get into details, but
Yeah, definitely. It's even stuff that I'm working on. It's like, enough time goes by, especially the game itself just changes and it's like,
hmm
let's refactor this. But I wanted to ask kind of a two-sided question. So for Charles, what drew you to the idea of this project? Like what made you want to make it? And then for Jacob, like what drew you to the project of, you had
hmm
seen the early prototypes and stuff and wanted to jump in.
I will note the game did not exist when Jacob joined it. Like
Right.
it was all art. This is a lot of sales in my end here.
There's a lot of art. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of art, like a year's worth of art, and a design document that like probably 5% of it made the final cut here. I remember like I don't want to go off the rails here, but like when I met Jacob, I'm like, I think this guy, I can work with this guy because he like instantly picked us apart and he's like, this is not gonna work.
Yeah.
And it's like the first person to like completely challenge me. I'm like, I love that. Like I'd like to be challenged. And he's like, yeah, this is like not realistic. I think the
Yeah.
original game concept was gonna be like this like open world RPG. Like you were gonna be able to dock and go type buildings.
Yeah.
It was gonna be
Very
crazy, but
ambitious.
It was a
like
lot. Yeah.
he gave me a lesson on scope. He gave me a lesson on scope, and yeah. So I guess I don't even remember what the question was. I'm all over the place, dude.
Yeah.
But, yeah, like,
It was just like what inspired you to make, I guess, beyond all that stuff, that the scope that was cut, like just like a space kind of twin stick shooter. Like, do you have like
oh
a
yeah.
external like love of space, or like are you into space stuff?
Um, I think like sci-fi for me, it's like it allows. I feel like I can be more creative because it's like the barrier to what you can do in sci-fi is just like there are no barriers. You can just make things,
Yes,
and
it does.
like if
Yeah.
you're doing like a historical game, you got to follow some rules, right? Like
Yeah.
sci-fi, like I don't have to follow any rules. Like we have snow in the game, like there's snow in space, and like we have like there's lore reasoning for how this happens, but like you know what I'm saying? Like you do some weird stuff with sci-fi, and I think that's like
It
Yeah.
just makes it up.
Yeah.
Yeah. For
Yeah.
me, the concept already existed when I went on to do the demo the first time. Uh, the concept already existed, so I didn't really choose what the concept was going to be. But it's really just if it wasn't devoid this specific game, it would be something else. 'Cause you need something to work on long term. It needed to be something, and this happened to be a great place to put my effort.
Right. Right. Okay. Yeah, so it seems like a good pairing. This is sort of a more specific question. I don't even know if there's like an answer for it. You don't have to get into it if you don't want to, but I wanted to know if there's like any information about what is Volteria, if that's how you say it. Like this place that we're trying to get to.
yeah. Volteria is so this is like you've kind of entered this realm and it's like pure dystopia, right? There's a lot of conflicting
Yeah.
factions. There's a lot of like things going on, and so most of the world up to the point till you get to the end, it kind of in ruin, at least for the first part of the game here. And this is like this is like the big city that, I haven't we haven't like fully fleshed it out yet. And Voltaria is kind of like this nebulous concept that for me, a lot of like art and just game design is like you kind of figure out when you get there. And we haven't like fully fleshed out this city and all the art for it and like really all the lore. Like we have a general idea of where we want this to go, but the idea is there's this despot and you've got to, the idea is you've gone through a wormhole, you're in this mysterious realm, you got to go space station to space station so you can reach the exit. And this despot kind of has that last wormhole on lockdown, so you're gonna have to travel there and we'll see what happens. I don't want to spoil anything.
Okay. But. All right. My next question was, what inspired the focus on temperature as a mechanic? Because that was one of the things I felt was pretty interesting. I didn't know if there's any like direct inspirations that you guys pulled from, or if it was just like kind of occurred naturally.
You came up with that, right?
Yeah, I can't remember like what sparked that.
It was because I was telling you that the game wasn't original. That's what was going on at the time.
We were having like
there was nothing original about the game, so we just started spitballing ideas and making up new game mechanics. So that was around the time that I came up with the gravity and like the black holes and stuff. I think the temperature definitely is a more core part of the game at this point. So there's something that lets us stand out in the very large sea of twin stick shooters out there.
Yeah.
But I don't remember. I don't think you had an inspiration. You just kind of like, what if we did this, right?
Yeah, I was just like, I can't remember. I literally cannot remember where that came from. But like, I'm just a lot of like ideas just used to trying a bunch of stuff and like something will stick,
Yeah.
And that happened to be pretty cool idea that like, there. I like to say like a game design mechanic, like if it's simple but has like so many implications, I feel like temperature is a great example of that, where it's like a very simple thing. You just got like one bar that can move to like it's your temperature.
Right.
Like, there's so many implications on what can happen when your temperature shifts. So for me, I'm like, that's a great mechanic. I think, I don't know.
Yeah, no, I mean it's just very intuitive. It's like everybody knows what temperature is.
Yeah.
And I think when the temperature interacts with stuff like the gravity and the energy system, like that's when I think there's definitely moments in development where you're like, this doesn't feel original, but it's just like you start with a base of something that doesn't feel original, and that's a good spot to like start making it feel more unique. But I wanted to move on to the next question. So how does the procedural generation work right now? Is it how much procedural generation is there? I'm not sure.
Mostly handcrafted sectors at this point, where it's not really. I guess you wouldn't really call it procedural generation. It's handmade sectors that are shuffled around randomly. So each map comes from. Think of it's the same thing that Hades does, if I recall. A bunch of handmade levels that are rearranged each run.
Yeah, well, I think it definitely, from a player perspective, it feels like there's enough of those kind of prefabs where it feels like it's procedural.
Oh, good.
It doesn't feel like I'm running into the same rooms over and over again.
Yeah, Charles, nice work. that's exactly what we wanted.
Yeah.
Those things are. I remember like I was doing those asteroid by asteroid because like we had a big optimization. We have a big optimization problem because there's so many asteroids. They're all physics. Yeah. They all had physics attached to them. So he goes like, we can't do this. He's like looking at the profiler. So he told me like you gotta make a script so you can just do only the edge asteroids. But that was a big. Yeah, it was taking me like 3 hours per sector. It was not good.
Yeah.
Taking a long time to make those. Yeah. But that has to speed up the process a lot.
I remember the first thing you added those, my entire Godot editor crashed. Just the whole thing just did not load.
You can't have you can't have too many nodes in Godot. Learn that one the hard way. But.
Especially like with physics and were there like light occluders on every one of those asteroids or?
Yeah, sure. I think actually we were talking about this, Ethan, like the multi-mesh stuff, like where you can So I've shifted to like a more like sound approach to like graphics, but like some of these early versions are pretty rough.
Yeah.
On the lag.
Yeah. So I wanted to ask, this is more of a Charles question, but I think I remember you talking about you had like this like theater experience, and it affected like your lighting philosophy, of how you lit the game.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, just talk about that.
I work at like a co-working space right now, and like there's a lot of interesting people that come through, and one of them's like running a new theater company, and I was like, I'll pick up that gig. That sounds interesting.
Yeah.
You get a lot of you get a lot of side gigs if you're like just chilling around, but so I'm like, I'll do this. I run a theater light board. I have no experience with theater. I did it, and I left, and I'm just like, this is gonna save our game's graphics because I realized like two big things that I think actually a lot of sci-fi developers would like almost disagree with. One is just like I think backgrounds in theater, like you really want to shine the light on the actors, and I think like it's
Right.
tempting to make like a really like nice looking sci-fi background, but I actually find, especially in an action game like Devoid, you don't want to take away player attention from the action, which is the player and the enemies. So I'm like, we're gonna make the backgrounds actually like pretty like dark and like not too distracting. And then another thing is like just learning things about like gels, diffuses. So like a diffuse is like you can make a harsh circle light more like soft. So like that's probably
Right.
slipping in these sheets of paper in between the light frames. But yeah, that was like very it was a great experience. I learned a ton, and I think it helped out the game's graphics a lot. Just like understanding like like even lighting can change your mood. Like flashing lights can like change the pacing of how you think. There's a lot of stuff. Like lights are very powerful
Yeah.
when used in certain ways.
Yeah. It's definitely. Um, it's also like from an indie perspective, it's just like cheaper to get good light. The thing is, it's cheaper, but literally, like technically, it's not cheaper. Like you have a bunch of lights and stuff happening. It does make the game more expensive to run, but
Yeah.
I'm sure with optimizations and stuff, it's not too bad. This is also more of a Charles question, but I was reading one of your blogs. And you made this interesting note about like how economics shares some parallels with game design, and I just like wondered if you could elaborate on that insight. Like,
Yeah.
what are your thoughts on
So I
that?
didn't go to school. I didn't go to school for like game development or anything like that.
Right.
But I went to school for economics, and you'd be surprised how much parallel there is, like the overlap on like these like ideas, and like the way you can think about economics. So like economics, basically to boil it down, is like the study of choice. Um, how people make decisions when faced with scarcity and things like this. And a lot of game design is really just like Jacob and my job. Like we're creating events for a player, like that's going to present them with options, and the player is now going to make a choice. Like that's a lot of game design, is like how can you make a bunch of like it's like an event creation in a sense. And I think it's been very helpful just understanding that when you're like designing systems, especially like a resource system. You just one resource is energy, but it's tied to so many things. And because energy is like tied to like gear, your health, when you move, decisions you make are like there tend to be a lot harder to make, which is like we kind of want that not too hard where it's like you're paralyzed and you can't make a choice, but like every decision kind of carries weight, even simple things like where you're going to move in the next 5 seconds.
Yeah.
So I think like economics is just like it's helped me frame my mind like how I think. So I don't know if you're like into game design, like pick up an economics book. It might be useful. I don't.
Yeah, I might have to do that. It's definitely, especially with a game like Devoid, where there's a lot of items and there's multiple resources that can, affect how all those items work. I could definitely see how the focus on resources gives it a lot of
Yeah.
parallels. And with economics, it really is like, how do people make decisions? They have certain amounts of freedom, they have resources, and they have to choose what they buy, choose where they work and all that kind of stuff. But this is more of a technical question. But what was the process of what is generally like the process of blending pixel art and lighting in Godot? Because I know we talked about like the light occluders and stuff. I just wanted to like know a little more about that.
Um. Yeah. So this is, I guess, graphics where like
Oh, you?
pixel art. I think I don't like. I guess pixel art on its own, it can look good. Like it can look really good. But I think like you were saying, like some that a little lower light and you can make it look even better.
Yeah,
Where it's like the art doesn't have to be so amazing, and especially when you're like a 2-person team here, like I don't have time to be polishing a piece of art for like a week. Like we really gotta make sure we're moving along here. So I purposely kind of went for like a lower res style where it's like this is more achievable than going like crazy like high res or anything. But I I've started like pick up my style of art. I guess I've implemented a lot of normal maps. I don't know. I just like stumbled upon a tutorial about someone talking about it, and I'm like, oh, this is cool. But it allows you to get like a dynamic lighting that makes like Pixar feel like more real. I don't know. That's how I feel about it, and it creates like a the lighting on it shines on things like it picks up differently, and like it actually
Right.
like makes it look almost 3D when it's 2D. And the game is developed entirely in 2D, so I think
Yeah.
like creating that illusion is just like it can make a pretty nice unique feel. There's some other like tricks I've been doing, but honestly, like a lot of it, like I said, it's just me like messing around with things and like tweaking values until I like, oh, that looks good.
Right.
I don't know if I could like tell someone how to recreate it, but
Well, I know you mentioned before, like you would like you take the pixel art and like turn it into grayscale before
yeah,
like
yeah.
feeding it
So
to
yeah,
the normal map.
so like grayscale. So I'm just using like a program on Steam, but like for normal maps. But I what I'll do is I grayscale all the art. Um, what I first do before I grayscale is I have a set of color palettes that I use to normalize. I don't know if this is what you're supposed to do, but I
Yeah.
take these colors. So now I change all the colors on all the sprites. So let's say I have a red sprite. We're gonna make it that green color that I'm using for everything. So every sprite in the game gets turned into green sprite. That's now they're all the same, right? Because I'm going to turn it to grayscale. And what a normal map does, it kind of looks at that height. So like the lighter colors are going to appear higher, like the
Oh,
darker
okay.
colors are going to be lower. So that's why I do like and again, this is probably like, I don't know, like a real artist. Like, I mean, I'm a real artist, but, but someone who has like a technical background, they're like, yeah,
Right. So
that's what I'm doing.
the
Yeah.
grayscale helps with like the normal map understanding the height,
So
sort
it
of
looks, so
giving you sort
red,
of height
so if
map.
if I drop like a red sprite into the program versus a yellow sprite, the yellow sprite is going to appear a lot higher than a red sprite because red's kind of darker. So that's why I have to do all like a little
Oh,
shenanigans before I throw it in.
okay.
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask,
Again, I don't know if that's the best practice. I don't know.
yeah, as I mean,
It's working, so
if it works, then the performance isn't too bad. But I
yeah.
wanted to ask if there was any like unexpected player behavior that you saw during a playtest. Like you made something, you're like, okay, I think the players are gonna act this way, and they just didn't do it. I don't know if you guys ran into that.
Well, we've been watching players just back up and shoot a lot, so we tried to fix that. I think that's the main thing that we've been trying to force players to not do because it's not fun. But we've had a few people playing weekly. It's really nice to get feedback like that. I think the main thing is just we want them to play more aggressively and just instinctively people play safer because it's safer. So that is something that I think we're still trying to figure it out. I don't think we really we alleviated it, but we didn't really solve it. Uh, I would still like people to be moving forward into action rather than backing away and just kiting enemies nonstop.
Yeah,
I mean, what do you?
And Jacob's designed a lot of enemies. Like if you look at the pirates and like the things like that, they're moving differently. Where it's like the typical player behavior where your first instinct is to just shoot and move backwards. Like a lot harder to do when the enemy is circling you. So this is something we're like pretty aware of, and we're like, especially
Yeah,
as
that's
like the game develops. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. It's I mean, the enemy behaviors and movements are definitely more like varied and stuff, and I think it's definitely like tuning the enemy movement and even like energy. Um, like is probably something you guys are gonna have to keep tuning throughout development because that's another aspect of getting people to be more aggressive is you kind of have to be near the enemy to continue to keep your energy up. Especially like I remember earlier builds of the game, it almost felt more aggressive where it was like I really needed to, you know, be closer to the enemies, circle around them, kind of make sure I could get close. So because I'd be like my energy would just be constantly low. Um, okay, so what has been the best and the worst part of using Godot so far?
Godot's not as strong of an engine as Unity or Unreal. It's has less support, but it is all open source. That is nice. It's all open source. We don't have to worry about uh, anything like those shenanigans that Unity pulled. Was that last year now? A year and a half
Yeah,
maybe. The best part is definitely just not having to worry about that kind of rug pull. The worst part is the technical limitations. I mean, have you experienced anything else, Charles?
Yeah. I don't know. Like I like Godot because when I tried to download Unity, my experience with Unity is I tried to download it and it was taking like 30 minutes, and I'm like, I'm gonna try this Godot thing, and it downloaded in like 10 seconds. I'm like, yeah, this is my engine. that's
Yeah.
that's my experience. And Unity might be like for lighting, so it might be able to achieve a lot more cool. I don't know, but that's literally that was my choice. I made it right there. And like I said earlier in the talk, we're like I did that game jam with those guys, so I had some familiarity with Godot. So I went with
Yeah.
it. But yeah, I like it as bare bones and it's fast. To me, like I said, I like to iterate a lot, and I think an engine that can like compile and run, and you can just keep testing things really fast over and over and over. I think Godot does excel at that, even though it is like weaker in some of the other aspects. I think its speed is like what is attractive to me.
Yeah, it is. It's very fast, and Unity is painfully slow. Um, and I think Godot will definitely just keep improving, kind of like Blender, these open source projects, and who knows what's going to happen with Unity, because they kind of
Yeah, I don't know.
lost the community's trust with the runtime fee stuff, but there is a lot of like legacy kind of support and user base for Unity, so I'll keep going with Unity. I have used Godot, recently. Um, are you guys using GD script? Because I know isn't there you can use like C# maybe.
Yeah, GD script.
Yeah, is that kind of like Python
Yeah,
syntax
it's pretty much
wise?
exactly the same thing. Syntax wise, everything wise, it's really just Python. Uh, I like when I first started working with it, I barely noticed that I was working with a different language. It's pretty much identical.
Oh, so you had previous Python experience?
Yeah, I have a bachelor's degree in computer science.
Nice, yeah. Yeah, so the other thing is that Godot has like you can just flip between the script and the engine like very easily. Whereas
Well, could be better, but yeah.
yeah, with Unity it's like I gotta use like Visual Studio and stuff.
Mhm.
Let's see.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's what
go
that's what we
on,
were
go
saying.
on.
It's like, oh no, I was just saying that's what Charles was talking about, where it's really easy to just make a small change, test it immediately. Like you don't even have to click out of the window. You just
Yeah,
there and back.
Yeah.
yeah,
That is pretty nice.
that's very nice. Um, was there any real life experiences you guys had that inspired this game? Just in terms of like you experienced something in real life and you're like, want the game to make me feel like that memory.
I got an answer for you. So, I wrestled in college. I wrestled, and for me, I love that sport because someone could be down 10 points, and if the other guy throws them and wins, like you could come back and win from nothing. And I think like that's like a beautiful like feeling to encapsulate in a game. And so, especially with the energy system, there are moments where like you have 10 energy and you're like scraping, you don't know what you're gonna do, and like you're able to just knock out one enemy and you can get that energy. And that feeling is just like I really wanted to chase that feeling and like encapsulate it into the game. Or like you could be, yeah, the wrestling feeling, you could be down and still win. You're
Yeah,
never out of the fight.
yeah, and I think that slots well into the like roguelike genre where you're constantly there's just like more at risk in general, and so being able to save your run, um, repeatedly having those moments of I'm gonna die and then turning it around, and it's like in stealth games where the fun stealth games are the ones where you're kind of in this spectrum between I'm about to get caught and I don't know if I'm gonna get caught, and then you save yourself from detection. The boring stealth games are where it's like just very obvious and you're either you've completely failed or you're completely hidden. But yeah, no, I definitely feel that in the game. The game, the best moments in Devoid is where it's like you're really riding that edge of getting through.
Yeah, that's the idea.
Has there ever been any times throughout development where you guys just felt like just totally quitting? Like, I don't want to do this anymore. Like, you know.
Have you?
I'm gonna be honest, no.
I don't think.
I
Uh,
love
I,
this. I love working on this thing.
I'm enjoying it still. I'm very tired, but it is fun. It's still worth it. Uh, it is very tiring though, but not in the way that, like a rat race would be. It's in the way that, it all pays off once you actually get the thing done.
Yeah, that's definitely part of, I think, why people like game development is, like even if you made it, even if you end up with a bad game, it's like it's still more than nothing. Whereas a lot of jobs are just like kind of maintaining the status quo,
Hmm.
and there's not really a. The only difference that a lot of jobs make is returning something to its original form, which obviously can be good in like a service aspect of like if there's a pothole in the road and somebody fixes it, it's like that is a positive. But there's other jobs where it's just like maintaining something that doesn't serve uh, a a good purpose or doesn't really serve much of a purpose at
Yeah,
all.
it's just a difference between creating something and not.
Yeah, having that outcome. Um, okay, I gotta zoom out a little bit. Okay, I read like the first blog from January 2025, and you described in that one of like the initial prototypes that you would actually the structure would be you go out and you fight enemies, and then you'd have to return to that first space station and like try to get there and dock before you ran out of energy. And I was wondering if that decision was more of a way of like scoping down the prototype and getting it done faster, or if that was actually your original idea for the whole game structure of like you go out and then you come back to the same uh, space station before you run out of energy.
Yeah, I don't actually remember. I think that was you came up with that before I joined, right?
Yeah, so I mean that was like our first iteration. Like that was like I actually how Jacob and I like kind of met is contracted him out to like help me build this prototype because I don't know how to code.
Yeah.
So I just reached out to him and that was like the first prototype you're gonna make. Very like basically what a lot of the game, like I said, like the design document, like I don't even know how much of that's actually like come to fruition here. A lot of it is we make something, have people will play it, they'll give us feedback, we'll change it, and we keep like continuing to do that process. And like I think we're really starting to get to something that like players are like they're having fun playing it. And but it was a lot of that. It's just like feedback's so important. Like you can design a game in a vacuum, but it's a lot easier when you're getting like you know some signals
Yeah,
here on like if what you're doing is even fun. And so yeah, I think a lot of that's just been like communicating with like the community and things like this, and we've stumbled upon what we have now.
Yeah, there was not a lot of thought put into the space station being the same space station. It was just kind of the default option. It was really just a proof of concept. The first demo was just a proof of concept. We put that in there as a uh, basically just the first mechanic that really worked.
yeah,
And of course, it turned out to be something that we changed.
yeah. And I think that I would go so far to say that it's you can make a game without playtesting, but I think you'd have to be extremely lucky to make a good game without
Yeah,
playtesting because it's just as a developer you're one thing is you're just one person. The other thing is that your perspective is totally different on everything, especially on these smaller indie projects where you have a couple people, um, like everybody's touched the code and the design and everything. It's like a larger teams have a certain benefit where I can work on something, and if there's 50 people on the team, I can actually grab somebody to play the content, and they haven't
mm,
seen any of it, and they kind of have that fresh perspective, especially with multiplayer games like Halo and all this. Like if they want to play test the multiplayer, they have a whole team of people that can fill up a whole match. So, but I think so. Yeah, with smaller teams and indie stuff, it's a requirement. I think to play test,
yeah.
and that's what
It's
this
also
Discord's good for, and social media and all that.
Yeah, it's also an issue with getting too good at the game because you play it more than anyone else.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
Yeah,
that's
kind
true.
of
yeah. It's real hard to, yeah, with like my game. I'm just so good at it that um,
yeah.
I can't really play test it properly.
I don't think I could make
Yeah,
a casual game like it, this game is like, we have we have an easy mode and all that, but I don't think it's not. It's going to be more fun if you play it at a higher difficulty. I think that's just intentional and inevitable. I don't think I could make something that's meant for casual players who aren't good at video games. It's it's at this point I have too big of a disconnect with that. Like if I'm making a game, it has to be mechanically interesting and mechanically challenging.
Yeah, and I think sometimes it can be very difficult to make like a good easy mode because sometimes if you just like kind of boost up numbers, take down
Yeah.
numbers, it can kind of just r- defeat the whole sort of intended play style. Whereas like you give the player just enough health, and they don't really have to use the other mechanics or whatever. Um,
Yeah.
I
but
will say on that note though, Ethan, like we were talking about chess, where it's like, I don't know, I think a game like Devoid is also like kind of a lot of work has gone into the tutorial. Like when we first had that earlier iteration of the tutorial, just weren't very good. There's a lot of walls and tags. It's been sharpened up, but I think like if if a casual gamer can like pick up a game and have a good time, like that's a good sign too. Like I look at chess where it's like the strategic layers where like you can kind of opt into those. Where it's saying like if but also like a casual person like my grandma could pick up chess and play and have a good time. Um, but like again, like I think like especially like that's something I want to like really lean into when we're doing our design. Is just like making like the difficulty. You can opt into like the difficulty in a sense where like chess would be like reading books to like learn, old games and like figure out how to like get your elo up. But
yeah,
also like I think like for us the game was actually maybe too difficult for a little bit too, and we've been trying to make it a little easier so like players can actually get through it. I think that can be like a trap to walk down where the game is too difficult and like my grandmas of the world can't play it. um
Level one
I
is
think there's something to that.
yeah. There is also a point though where it's like, you know what, if like if like a child who can't hold the controller or like an 80-year-old man can't beat the game, it's like yeah, at some point you have to decide like it's a video game, not everybody can beat
Oh
it.
yeah, I mean we are definitely
Yeah, yeah.
alienating worse players, which is intentional. You can't make a game for everyone. I mean you keep talking about how much you love the competition aspect of it, right? Like it's going to be for players who like to be challenged.
Yeah.
Yeah, this
But especially in the twin stick genre and stuff, I think people are very experienced with that. There's
Yeah,
like a legacy skill that is increasing.
absolutely. Yeah,
You see that
and we see
even
that.
with like first person shooters and stuff. Like more mainstream shooters are getting faster and more difficult just because even if you give like a 10-year-old a controller, they can like play like Call of Duty pretty well,
Yeah, they play Fortnite.
or
Yeah.
like Fortnite or something. Another aspect of kind of like opt-in challenge that I like is like performance evaluation. So like anytime you have a game where it's like giving you score, it's ranking you in a different way besides just survival. I think that's a good accessibility factor of like if I'm playing Devil May Cry and it's like I can just get through the game or I can try to get the highest rank possible, but that performance evaluation doesn't really affect like the survival difficulty. Um, but it is harder to get a higher rank. And in Devoid, you guys have ranks and scores and stuff. So that is something you're already tapping into. Um, but yeah, um, I don't really have any other questions. So essentially, just if people are interested in Devoid, where can they play it, and how can they join the community?
Well, we're on Steam first of all, so check that out. There are multiple games with our name though, so we need to be more specific. Uh, and of course here on the Discord. Can we leave that link in your podcast? Right?
Yeah, well, I'll put all the links in the description, the comment section and stuff. Yeah, I think I did see this other game that was also called The Void, but there was like a colon in the title, so it was like
I don't know, whatever.
yeah, but
It's a space one.
Yeah, honestly, I looked up like Devoid game, and like the whole like AI overview was immediately tagging your game. So
Come on.
yeah, you had
Let's go.
good SEO.
The clankers like that's amazing.
Yeah, no, it was just like quoting your like website, and
Nice.
that's another
Sick.
thing I'll link.
We're still the second search result on Google, unfortunately. I don't know how.
I'm working on it. I'm working on it.
Yeah,
We'll climb.
yeah, for sure. All right, well, if any final thoughts that you guys have, or
No, I really appreciate you having us on, Ethan, and
Yeah, it's been cool.
I look forward to seeing Jupiter Blade develop as well. Like it's been great. I've been loving seeing the progress on how that's been going. Like even just the iterations. Like we went through some iterations. You've also that game has went through some iterations, but I think for the better.
Yeah.
Like the
it's
combat is really feels good.
yeah, it's changed. It's changed so many times, but I'm definitely this sort of version has been essentially this version started in like January, and so it's really been like 8 months. So it's not going to change in terms of the fundamental idea.